If you have a crisis, where do you go? Who do you talk to? Is it a spouse, a friend, a sibling, or a parent? If you have an emergency, say you're short on rent, or you need to find a babysitter to watch the kids, who can you rely on? You may have a community of people you could depend on to come through when you're going through hard times. Many of us take these social networks for granted, but they are the fabric that holds society together, and without them, our lives can fall apart. Homelessness in Los Angeles County is a humanitarian crisis. And with this crisis, recent counts have shown that nearly 60,000 people are living in homelessness or living in despair, isolation, and dangerous health conditions. And without connection, voice, or hope, they fall through the cracks in our social safety net. Now, let's say you begin to fall through the cracks. And so, after you lose your job, or you run into unexpected medical bills, after you're painfully evicted with months of financial or legal struggle, after you run out of friends or family's couches to crash on, after the car that you've been living in with all your personal belongings gets towed, then what? PTSD sets in after just 5 days of living in the streets, let alone the jarring emotional spiral that has lasted for months before you even arrived at this moment. So, you go and you knock on the doors of the social service offices in Skid Row. Do you have moderate to severe mental illness? No. Do you have a drug or alcohol addiction? No. Have you been incarcerated for 30 days or more? No. Are you a veteran? No. Are you willing to give up all your belongings and freedom, attend Bible study every night, to repent for the shame of being unsheltered? No? Well, my best advice to you, come back in 3 months. Come back after you've suffered the trauma of trying to survive each day, one meal at a time. Come back after the drug dealers have preyed on you, claiming to be offering an escape, yet inducing you into addiction. Come back after the 90% likelihood that you will be sexually assaulted, especially if you are a woman. Come back if you've been arrested for having nowhere to live. Come back after the world has crushed you into feeling like nothing, casting you out as someone who is invisible and deserving of your shame. Then we'll have a program for you. You see, the structures are struggling right now. The truth is that there is not immediate housing available. And the structures struggle to interconnect their resources, and they're structured around quotas versus structured around people. Those very same people are facing circumstances that make them lose their dignity and their humanity on a daily basis. They feel like a number in a siloed system, a number falling through numerous cracks, and cracks that feel like canyons. So, how do you get people to change what is breaking their hearts? And how do you do it in the most horrific human condition? How would you stay alive until tomorrow? We do it with singing. In the 1960s, the famed English writer Ronald Blythe traveled to the north of England, and he interviewed farmers and plowmen and blacksmiths with stories dating back from the early 20th century. Here, they met a subject, Fred Mitchell, an 80-year-old man who was a plowman. And in his story, he spoke of a very bleak life with very little joy. But he stopped in the midst of his story, and he said, "But there was always singing. The boys in the field, the chapels were full of singing. I have had pleasure enough. I have had singing." 5 years ago, my co-founder, Christopher Mack, and I founded the Urban Voices Project. a nonprofit organization bringing community singing to people all over Los Angeles and to bring them to a sense of self again and off the streets. We hope that these programs also bring them to what they need. Now, what I need right now is for everyone in this room and people that may be watching at home to take a breath in with me and sigh. Now, that was beautiful. I want to ask you to do it again. This time, add vibration. Add your voice. Take a breath in and sigh. Let me ask you this question. What emotion is in a sigh? What emotion was in that sigh that you just took just now? Was it relief, frustration, annoyance, elation, joy, longing, grief? The answer is simply all of it, any of it. That sigh is exactly what you needed in that moment. Now, I want to ask you to sigh one more time, but this time, take what you need. Sigh with your voice and with intention. Will you join me one last time? Congratulations. You just took a moment to sing. But more importantly, you took a moment to take what you need. That's what we do in our workshops. And we do it in the music. Matter of fact, it inspired us to write this song, a song with lyrics based from the participants of the workshop itself. It goes like this. I'll sing it for you. I've got the patience to inhale, exhale. I've got the energy to sing. I've got the strength to keep on going so I can rise again. Rise, let's sing it again. I've got the patience to inhale, exhale. I've got the energy to sing. I've got the strength to keep on going so I can rise again. Doobie-doobie-doo-da, doobie-doobie-doo-da-da. Doobie-doobie-doo-da-da-da-da-da, doobie-doobie-doo-da-da. Doobie-doobie-doo-da, doobie-doobie-doo-da. All right, bring it down for me for just a second. I want to ask you guys to do me a favor. Put your hands on your heart and say these words. I've got the patience to inhale, exhale. I want you to put it in your bodies. I want you to show it to me. To inhale, exhale. I've got the energy to sing. I've got the strength. Say that with strength. I've got the strength to keep on going so I can rise again. Rise again. Ladies and gentlemen, I will help you with the words, but it would mean the most to us if you join us and sing with us. Are you ready? It starts with I've got the patience. Here we go. I've got to inhale, exhale, I've got the energy to sing. I've got the strength to keep on going so I can rise again. Singing one more time. I've got the patience to inhale, exhale. I've got the energy to sing. I've got the strength to keep on going so I can rise. Can we just have the voices, and if you're feeling it, rise up out of your seats. I've got the patience. If you're feeling brave, won't you rise with us? Won't you stand right where you are and sing these words with us? Come on, to sing with us. I've got the strength to keep on going, so I can rise again, so I can rise again. Let's do one more, band. Come on, one more. I've got the patience. I've got the patience to inhale, exhale. I've got the energy to sing. I've got the strength to keep on going. Let's bring it home so I can, last time, bring it home. Rise again. Is singing enough? In light of the hundreds of lectures and journals and studies on the benefits of singing, let's recognize this fact. All 300 people in this room, your heartbeats just lined up. Your blood pressure came down, oxytocin was released from your brain, and you feel like you bit into a piece of sweet chocolate. You did something for yourself, and you took a dose of musical medicine. After overwhelming feelings of being cast out and invisible, you can cast out that depression, and you can find your voice, and you can find self-expression again. After you find this sense of self-expression, we found that the clinics that we partner with, the doctors and the nurses, are asking their patients, do you have anxiety? Do you have depression? Are you stepping out into the streets and stepping into isolation? Have you tried singing? Doctors are walking their patients down the hallways and not just dropping them off, but they are sitting in our weekly workshops singing side by side. Music is the greatest equalizer. In fact, it's with music that we can address our own implicit bias, a systemic way that we compartmentalize the people around us. You see, if you take a person in Skid Row and a person in Beverly Hills and you put them in the same room together and ask them to sing the same note, what would you get? You'll get one vibration, one sound blended together. Music doesn't see color, race, social class, age, gender. It's above all of us. Now, we know there are systemic conflicts that directly address homelessness, racism, injustice, inequality. We have to recognize that over 63% of homelessness in LA is African American. We still have so far before we've peeled back all of our layers of bias. But that's why we believe that with the universal artistic expression, the human voice, we can bridge ourselves to each other again. We can see the humanness in each other, and we can recognize how to support each other. I need to ask you a favor. I want you to turn to a neighbor on your left or your right, and preferably someone you maybe haven't met before, and I want you to say to them these words: I will support you. Now, that didn't go exactly as planned. So just say those words, and no other words. I may surmise that it might have been a challenge for some of you to say those words to your neighbor, and especially if you said it to a stranger, it might have been a challenge to be fully authentic. But I want you to try again. I want you to turn to your neighbor, and this time I want you to say just these words, and just these words, please. Sing with me. Go ahead. Everything has changed. You see, in those words, there is authentic trust. There is camaraderie. There is simply joy. There is connection. There's relationship. And most important of all, there is community. Now, imagine walking into a space, a strange new space, say a social service office, and you hear singing on the other side of the waiting room. Imagine in clinics or civic spaces such as libraries. That's what we do. Urban Voices Project brings community singing and music wellness workshops to sites across the greater Los Angeles area, to men, to women, and even children in our family programming. And we show up, weekly or more, and we keep showing up. And soon, clients of these different sites begin to show up and begin to trust in authentic human connection. Now, one participant was with us for 6 months, Robert, and he showed up to a performance, and he was wearing a snappy three-piece suit, which cost him all of his savings. Now, all he had to wear was just this t-shirt, which we provided for free. And so, of course, I asked him, Robert, what's going on? He said, no, don't worry. I have the shirt. It's in my bag. You see, I haven't spoken to my son in over 7 years. I'm feeling really proud to be performing today. So I reached out, and I invited him, and he's taking me out to dinner after the concert. So I wanted to look my best. Brian Palmer, one of our very first participants, the music was so important in his life, it played a major role in his recovery journey. In fact, due to his endless dedication, we hired him as the very first community staff and faculty member. Unfortunately, he unexpectedly passed away just a month ago. But at the memorial, his parents showed up, and they said to us, "Thank you." You see, 4 years ago, when Brian found the music, he found us, and we had our son back. Thank you for 4 glorious years with our son again. The reason why these programs work is because Brian's parents weren't saying those words to me or saying them to my staff. They were saying them to the whole choir, to the whole community. You see, the fact is we do have staff planted at every site that can connect members to their resources. We have that connection to services, but it's when someone joins the program, and Marilyn, who you just heard from, who's been in the program for 4 years, decides to take that new member out for coffee, ask them what's going on in their lives, and then hold that person's hand through the same processes that she herself have been through before. Volunteers ask us, "What can I do?" I say, "Sing with us. Join the choir. Expand the community and relationships and the fabric of support." The bridges being built is each and every choir member that becomes a leader and a peer advocate and more. You see, the choir has now built their own safety network, something that's missing in the lives of people suffering from the condition of homelessness. You see, music bridges us to ourselves. It can bridge us to each other. And on the bleakest of days, it can bridge us to tomorrow. So I ask you, how will you stay alive until tomorrow? Have you tried singing? Thank you.